Hi guys, from the Thoughtful Gardener. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about conflicting data or research today. Many of you may or may not know I've been in the medical industry for over 20 years. I've dealt a lot with clinical research over the years, and so I understand clinical research probably better than the average bear. So I'm going to teach you something about conflicting research. There is never settled science. That's definitely a misnomer or a false term, meaning that we are constantly dealing with conflicting scientific reports, and that's why we continue to study these things, and plants are no different. There's always new information to learn, so we're going to show you some conflicting science today. This is a swamp milkweed, and you can see that it has a few oleander aphids on it. According to a most recent data, it says that you shouldn't remove those oleander aphids, that's giving something for predators to eat. In this case, aphids. The challenge of aphids is they asexually reproduce and they can easily overwhelm a plant. And there's a conflicting piece of research that suggests that if you have an overwhelming amount of aphids, as this plant does, that monarchs won't lay their eggs on it. So what's a butterfly gardener to do? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you about my own waystation, which is I certainly allow Mother Nature to come in and clean up problems. In this particular case, you can see that a milkweed beetle has come in and she is happily munching on these different aphids and cleaning up this plant rather nicely. But if I come around the corner to a different milkweed plant, it's completely overrun with aphids and there's hardly any leaves left. I've only seen one monarch caterpillar on it, and that's what the data suggests, that once it becomes overrun, monarchs won't lay their eggs, and that's the problem. We want them to lay eggs, but they're not going to lay eggs on plants that are infested. So here's my suggestion. If you are seeing that your plant is completely overrun by predators, you may want to help the plant. That does not mean spray pesticides. Absolutely, positively not. What I will do in this case is either smash or take a wet paper towel and remove this overwhelming amount of oleander aphids. Why? Because they asexually reproduce, which means they can reproduce themselves like a clone, and they have overwhelmed this plant, and I need it to recover and produce more milkweed. It has one tiny little caterpillar on it, and if it continues that this plant is overrun, it will not be enough food for that caterpillar. So when you have data that conflicts other data, go take your own look in your own yard. And what does your experience tell you? What do other data sets tell you? That's why we don't ever make a decision on data based on an N of one, meaning a study of one. We look at studies in multiple places and we try to discern or understand what that data actually means when we apply it in our own situation. And not every situation will be the same. So, milkweeds, predators, predation. What's a girl to do? Well, if you're like me and you find that your plant's getting overrun, you can easily remove this by smashing or using a jet of water if it's really overrun. But just be cautious because you may be hurting your caterpillars. So you might want to move them onto a less affected plant if you're going to be using water to remove. Do not, under any circumstances, use pesticides. Garden thoughtfully and take care.